I
Well,
do
what I
have.
was gonna say is, what's an example of a good woke movie? Because
Because
like, if we can think of what, because there's a difference between something having a point of view and lecturing the audience. Like they're two very different things, right? Like
okay,
if you're gonna make a movie about a subject, right, and interpret it a certain way, that's one thing. But when it's the true nefarious thing are the things that like you're like that's not real life. Like you're putting that in there to try to reshape society in your new image. Like that's where I think it's a crime. It's like when you have, these women beating up these fully grown men, when you have, little girls punching out adult men, stuff like that, or just, foundations that are like, that's a theory. That's just an idea of yours. You can't just like assert that that's the way the world is. Like that's where I think the thing, if you just, yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky question. I'm trying to think of a good woke
well,
movie.
one thing that topped off, and I don't know if is it woke hashtag Django Unchained, and it doesn't necessarily. Well, it's a fictional, it's a fictional piece. It's a piece of fiction, but it's
Yeah.
a quote unquote historical fiction. And granted, this is what oh
It's
my
more of a
god,
historical
Tarantino,
fantasy.
historical fantasy fiction, which what Tarantino, that's kind of one of the genres he's played around with it a little bit. Inglorious Bastards, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, etc. That's like
Yeah.
his a gimmick he has, but
Yeah.
it, it,
It's a tired one too. I'm fucking
yeah, he
over it.
he hit it. But Django Unchained at the time was
No,
pretty
Django
well
was
received.
cool, and so was Inglorious Bastards. But the Hollywood movie was why
I
this
didn't
is your
see it.
thing? Revisionist history, revenge fantasies. I mean, that's your whole thing now. Why?
He had two shots at that, and they both hit, and it was like, okay,
I mean, we definitely don't need a third, dude. Jesus Christ.
like fourth or fifth. But yeah, but I guess I picked that out because I mean, a lot of it can be considered woke, just from the standpoint of it just being a. I mean, yes, there's a.
Slave rebellion fan? I don't know, but I don't know if that qualifies as woke per
Would it not
se.
had it if it had been released same frame for frame, shot for shot? They release it today, maybe
Well,
give
if
some
they
weight.
released it today, then like his friend wouldn't have saved the day. His friend would have learned to become better or something. You know what I mean? Like Christoph Waltz, like wouldn't have been a hero. He wouldn't be allowed to be a hero. Like that's where it gets. That's when the
Yeah,
thing
I mean,
becomes propaganda.
I'm sure the girl kicked somebody in the head. I mean, I get it. More than likely we change. But I'm saying if it was released frame for frame, people would say, "Well, this is woke. Well, that is woke." I feel like it would be picked
Oh, I
apart.
see what you meant. Sorry, I thought you meant if it was like
No, not made.
created
I'm talking
today.
about
Got it.
released. The same movie, frame for frame, shot for shot. People would still make arguments that is woke.
Yeah, it's woke adjacent.
Woke adjacent.
Because it's like it's not quite propaganda, but it definitely is like reinforcing the idea of black people as slaves, right? It's like it's treading down that, and it's
Treading down slavery, reinforcing that
reminding
division,
people,
reminding
keeping it,
everyone.
and then also inspiring rageful revenge. So yeah,
Yep.
I would say it's in the realm of that. If there's a Venn diagram that crosses over.
And it was beloved again before the culture war. The culture war had been started, but I mean when the culture war really started, when the cool
Yeah.
kids figured it out.
The culture war started when we started letting women vote. Shouldn't
We
have
love
done
the
that.
ladies,
What a
especially the big
mistake.
ones. No.
That's not. I do not stand behind that. That's not my brand. I see what you're saying. It's in that realm. There's probably woke people that dig it, but it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't lecture enough to really satisfy that Marxist impulse. You know what I mean? It's not. It has the revenge, but it's also not saying, and see, white people, this is what you did wrong. It doesn't have that kind of like
Doesn't it?
smug, condescending.
I mean, Candy's a real piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Who?
The Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean,
He is a real piece of shit. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
But there's been real pieces of shit in history. Like that doesn't.
True.
There were definitely slave owners who were pieces of shit. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it's like I don't have a problem with that depiction. It's still a very uncomfortable reality that was the history of this country. But I mean, it's the history of the world. So it's not really necessarily like just us, oh, the evil white people. But it's still one of those things that that was real.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable, man. So that's why, I mean, I'm telling you, it would get a little bit more heat than you're giving it credit for if it was made, even shot for shot what it is now.
It got heat at the time,
Yeah.
because of the N-word being used so much.
Yeah.
And Leo did a very groveling interview.
I do remember that.
You remember that, right? And he did a very groveling, like, I want to make sure everyone was okay with it. Because he saw himself in the crosshairs, and he's like, you know what? To keep fucking these supermodels, keep this lifestyle going, got to grovel right now.
He did grovel. I do remember that, yes.
He did, yeah, he groveled. That's what they want from you. They want you to grovel.
I want these private planes and these bitches, so.
Yeah, it's a lot to hold on to. Thank you so much for watching this clip today. If you enjoyed it, please press like and subscribe. And while you're at it, why don't you head on over to Vigilante Williamson's channel, give him a little subski so that you can see new episodes of this show, The Culture Crime Fighters, every Monday at 1. Thank you so very much for watching. You have a wonderful day.